We have not received a decision in our favour. The decision has gone in favour of the Secretary of State. So the appeal has been granted, and today we have received news that we have unfortunately lost. We're both deeply disappointed by this decision today because it represents a very long battle ahead of us to have to push forward to get this right recognised. And I think what this decision today shows us is that the UK government has failed to adequately implement essential provisions of the Good Friday Agreement into domestic UK law. And because of a failure to implement the Good Friday Agreement, we are now in a position where I cannot be recognised solely as an Irish citizen. So that birthright, the right to be Irish or British or both, according to the government now, is a right just to be British. And until I renounce being British, I cannot be accepted solely as an Irish citizen. So it's difficult that that is the decision that they have made today. And I'd like to add that, in my view, imposing an identity on people in Northern Ireland is completely against the spirit and the purpose of the Good Friday Agreement. Identity was at the centre of decades of violence and conflict in this region, and the Good Friday Agreement sought to protect identity. It gave us the foundations of equality, parity of esteem, and mutual respect. But this is not equality, not parity of esteem, and not mutual respect. That an Irish citizen in Northern Ireland cannot be accepted as such. So we will move forward as a family, and we are very grateful to have such widespread support by so many of our political representatives here today. That shows that whilst the British government may not remember the Good Friday Agreement, we do.
Well, today's judgment is a retrograde step. It's a step which runs contrary to the spirit and the letter of the Good Friday Agreement. The Good Friday Agreement is explicit, it's clear. All of us here have the right to identify and, crucially, be accepted as Irish, as British, or as both. Emma has had to spend years now going through the court to uphold our Good Friday Agreement right to be identified and accepted as Irish. This morning, we hear the upper tier of the tribunal impose universally upon all of us, not just Emma, but all of us who identify here as Irish, as being in actual fact British citizens. That's obviously a massive political and legal negative. It obviously runs contrary to the Good Friday Agreement and indeed our constitutional right as Irish citizens under Article 2. In the context of Brexit and all of the difficulties coming down the road as a result, this merely highlights further and I would say exacerbates the problem of Brexit. So we need to be very clear. It was good to have cross-party support for Emma this morning, but we need the Irish government to be very clear. We need them to be steadfast, not just for the Good Friday Agreement, but for us as Irish citizens, for us as people who in 2019, 21 years after the Good Friday Agreement, should not be having to be dragged through the court to uphold and defend our rights as Irish citizens. Emma will move forward to the next stage of her appeal. We will stand with her, and the message from this morning is very clear. So let me just say it again. Emma's not British, Emma's Irish. I'm not British, I'm Irish, and that applies for all of us who feel the same.